Welcome back, folks, and I'm hitting you with an AEW Dark review for September 29, 2020, episode 54. Let's get that review going. The show opened up with no Veda Scott on commentary, but we did have Taz and Excalibur. That's a no-no. Bring Veda back. She was great on commentary. What are you waiting for, AEW? Bring her back. She added some depth, some nice chemistry. She had chemistry with Taz and Excalibur. But I have a feeling they'll do it. I have a feeling they'll do it when the second show rolls around. We can only hope. Starks would later show up on commentary during the episode for some reason. I don't know why they have Starks on commentary. What are they doing? Flexing his commentary muscles or something? Getting him prepared for the role someday? Because he can cut a promo? I don't know. He doesn't speak on commentary like he does when he cuts a promo. That's all I'll say. Let's get to the first match. We had Ray Rosas and Ryzen versus SCU. Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian. Both Rosas and Kaz start with a lock and some mat wrestling. Kaz takes Rosas down with a headlock and they make their way to their feet, but immediately gets back down with a headlock, and this is Kaz on Rosas. Sky tags himself in later and gets a drop kick off on Rosas. Rosas then muscles Sky to their corner and he tags in Ryzen. He gets to work on Sky with a leg lariat and starts to pummel Sky with some strikes. Later, Rosas gets a missile drop kick off on Kazarian and gets a 1 count for his efforts. Both Rosas and Ryzen work heel on Kaz with a choke in the corner behind the ref's back. Kaz later gets the hot tag to Sky and he runs wild on both and delivers a cutter from the outside to Ryzen. Later, they win with an SCU later on Rosas. He took majority of the beating in this match, it seems. SCU wins in preparation for the Dynamite match tonight versus the Tag Team Champions FTR, which I don't think they will win. This match gets a 2. Definitely dark worthy. Next up, we had a Dark Order promo segment with Silver, Uno, and Colt Cabana. Silver basically went over why he did not want to really be tagging with Colt Cabana. I guess he doesn't trust him or something. He was talking to Uno at this point. But in the background, Colt Cabana was seen walking down the stairs and he was ready to go with the match, and then they all left. After this, Starks makes his way out to the commentary booth. In the next matchup, we had Alex Gracia making her AEW Dark debut versus Penelope Ford. I had high hopes for this match, but it did not deliver. I will tell you why in a bit. Ford gets a quick arm drag off on Gracia, and the match started a bit slow, and it ended slow as well. Later, it ends with a fisherman's suplex, which is not a good finisher in my opinion. Penelope Ford wins the match, obviously, and I feel both can do better than what they've shown. I know Alex Gracia can work. I've seen her on the indies this past month alone. She worked with Thunder Rosa. She even worked at her Mission Pro wrestling show. She did great there, but they didn't allow her to work to her full potential because she would have outshined Penelope Ford. And instead, the match was a squash, and that's a shame. Hopefully, they bring her back for another look, because I noticed on Twitter that AEW is following Alex Gracia, so they might see something there. Only time will tell, because the women's division could definitely use another solid hand like Alex Gracia. Let's hope they realize this before someone else snaps her up. I give the match a 1.5 because it could have been better. Next, we had Badu and Bishop King versus the Best Friend. Badu shoves Trent to the ground and shouts his name. He went, "Badu! My name is Badu! Badu!" with the African accent, which he did pretty well. Trent later takes Badu off his feet and delivers a chop. Later, Bishop and Taylor gets in the ring. Trent chops down Bishop in the corner and he then begs for more. Trent didn't like this. Later, Badu comes in with a big splash and gets a 2 count for it. He then goes for the splash again not too long after the first one. He misses and he pays the price as Trent delivers some chops and elbows to Badu. Trent later delivers a back suplex to Bishop. Afterwards, he rolled out of the ring. The finish of the match came when the Best Friends delivered the Soul Food half and half, and then immediately followed it up with a strong 0 to Badu, of all people, for the win. Decent match. Gets a 2. Definitely dark worthy. After this match, we get another promo segment, and it was Brandon Cutler. He says he isn't happy with their results. Both are unhappy with their results. He says they're gonna dance till one of them is doomed. There will be a rematch. Whenever this rematch happens, one of them will get the win, maybe? Who knows? We shall see. A lot of people are intrigued with this best loser storyline that Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon have going on. Interesting stuff. Next match, we had 5 and 10 or 5 and Dime versus the Jurassic Express. This was one of the better matches of the night. 5 starts the match by slapping Luchasaurus, but immediately tags in 10. He chops him, and 10 returns the favor. Later, Luchasaurus back suplexes 10. Jungle Boy then gets in and goes toe-to-toe with 5, and he headlock takedowns 5. Headlock takes down Jungle Boy, and he later delivers a fireman's carry to 5 for a 1 count. Luchasaurus later buckle bombs 5 and body slams him, and then Jungle Boy hits a senton after. Later, Luchasaurus gets the hot tag and he runs wild with his signature hot tag style. Luchasaurus then tries to chokeslam 10 on the outside, but he gets shoved into the ring post. In the ring, 10 delivers a devastating spinebuster to Jungle Boy, and 5 delivers a frog splash immediately after, and this got a 2 count. Later, the Jurassic Express ends the match with an extinction event. They get the victory as a result. This match gets a 2 to 2.5. After this, we get a Luther and Serpentico promo segment. Luther just speaks his usual jargon, and Serpentico backed it up with some Spanish. That was pretty much it. They cut a promo on Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison. After this, Sean Dean and Cesar Bononi takes on the Gun Club, Billy Gunn and Austin Gunn. Dean and Austin starts the match with a show of power, which Dean knocks Gunn down on his butt. Austin then gets Sean into their corner for the tag to Billy, and immediately tags back out to Austin. Later, Cesar tags in and towers over Austin, and he wanted Billy, but Austin didn't tag him in because he wanted to take on Cesar. He then choke tosses Austin into his own corner in order for Billy to tag in, and it worked. Both lock it up and Billy breaks his grip, but both go for their throats, each other's throat. Bononi then gets his knee to Billy. Billy then clotheslines Bononi and gets slight control over Billy, but Dean knees Billy's back, but it gives an opportunity for Bononi to big boot Billy. Later, both Dean and Austin tag in, and Gunn runs wild on Dean as he hits a flipping neck breaker and a DDT for a broken up 2 count. Both Guns then hit a catapult clothesline for a broken up 2 count. Billy later hits his Fameasser on Dean for the win. Solid match, and it gets a 2. After this, QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes, along with Brandy Rhodes, cuts a promo on the Dark Order. QT says when numbers are even, they're unstoppable. Brandy then says, unlike Late Night Dynamite, the Queen Slayer isn't here, which she was. If she did show up, she'd have to put the clean boots up her ass. Dustin then chimes in and says, Colt should step away from the Dark Order, and the Natural Nightmares is fixing to whoop the Dark Order's ass. Next match, we had Tay Conti versus Red Velvet. This was actually a good, decent match for what it was. Conti shows off her judo background by throwing around Velvet. Velvet then gets some arm drags off on Conti. She then catches Conti's kick, but Conti flips it over for an arm bar-like hold. Conti then delivers some elbows, but Velvet covers up as Conti attempts to strike her in the face. Velvet then stirs it up a bit and gets the knees to Conti's back as she was in the ropes. But later, Conti then gets Velvet to tap with a nice choke maneuver. Conti wins the match, and that match gets a 2.5. I liked what they brought to the table. Their styles meshed well. After the match, post-match, Anna Jay walks to the ring and pretends to extend an invitation to a downed Red Velvet. She gets to her feet, but instead, Anna Jay kicks Velvet in the face as she lays right back on her back. Before any more damage is done, Brandy comes to the rescue. While all this was going on, Tay Conti was wondering why Jay was attacking Red Velvet. There's some conflicting interest here. Jay obviously wants Conti in the Dark Order, but Conti is not sure. Should she do this dastardly deed or not? We shall see in due time. Storyline. We got a storyline in the women's division right there. Next match, we had Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison versus Luther and Serpentico, as they are called the Chaos Project. After Serpentico popped his streamers during his entrance, both Luther and Serpentico attacked Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison. Some of the wrestlers were tangled up in the streamers, particularly Serpentico. Garrison then backdrops Serpentico and he tags in Pillman, all while the streamers were on Serpentico, and this got a chuckle out of me. Luther then body slams Serpentico on Pillman 3 times, and it's got a 2 count. Luther then gets in on the action in the ring via a tag. Luther reverse suplexes Serpentico on Pillman for a 2 count. Garrison then runs wild with a hot tag on both, and he flatlines Serpentico and he gets a 2 count for his efforts. In the end, the Chaos Project wins the match with a nice double team maneuver. And it was actually one of their better matches as a team, Luther and Serpentico. I give this match a 2 to 2.5. It was good. Next up, we have a squash between Nyla Rose and Rache Chanel. And this is one of the better matches that Chanel has had on Dark ever. And it was in a squash. Go figure. Nyla says to Chanel to lay down. She gives Nyla a few strikes, but Rose stops that with a body slam. Nyla then choke tosses Chanel and interrupts her own 3 count afterwards. She was going to win the match, but she stopped it. Chanel then does something to Rose, but she retaliates with a slam. Rose then goes for a beast bomb, but Chanel counters it with she tried to Hurricane Rana off the ropes, but Nyla countered that with the Beast Bomb, and she gets the win. It was a good squash, and that squash gets a 2. Next up, we have the main event, which was the Natural Nightmares, Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall versus John Silver and Colt Cabana of the Dark Order. Silver clearly didn't want to tag with Colt as he was making his entrance. Colt and Dustin starts the match off. Dustin takes Colt off his feet and tags in Silver. QT then delivers a vertical suplex to Silver for a 2 count. Silver then uses a distraction for his own snap vertical, and he gets a 2 count. Both Silver and Colt delivered a double team to QT Marshall for a 2 count. Silver then kicks QT in the chest a bit, but QT delivers a flatliner with a backbreaker combo before tagging in Dustin. Dustin then gets that hot tag, and he power slams both guys and looks good doing so. Both Silver and Colt argue in the ring later on. They were obviously not on the same page, and this costs them. QT then hits his diamond cutter on Silver for the win. Solid match, and it gets a 2.5. I liked it. Solid main event for Dark. And there you have it. The AEW Dark September 29, 2020 review, episode 54. And I will catch you with the next one. Stay tuned.